Texas Tech sophomore guard Christian Anderson Jr. helped lead his home country of Germany to a gold medal matchup against the United States in the FIBA U19 World Cup. Unfortunately for Christian Anderson Jr., they did not prevail to Germany, but Grant McCaslin did secure gold for the USA as an assistant coach under Arizona coach Tommy Lloyd. In today's video, we'll discuss why there is nothing but positives going into Christian Anderson Jr.'s sophomore campaign out in the 806, why I think he is going to be an all Big 12 first teamer, as well as what's the latest on Jaylen Petty and Ben Henshaw on the recruiting front. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. I heard y'all. I had plenty of comments asking, RC, what's the latest on Ben Henshaw? What's the latest on Jaylen Petty? What's the latest on Texas Tech men's basketball on the recruiting trail? Because simply put, a lot of y'all, just like me, are looking at this roster and thinking they need at least one more primary ball handler. Well, we'll discuss two options potentially for the Red Raiders later on in the video. But if you haven't already, you should like the video and hit that subscribe button for 100% free Texas Tech men's basketball coverage all year long, whether it's on the hardwood, in the portal, or in the high school recruiting trail. We've got you covered right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right, let's jump into this. And shout out to my man, Ryan Mainville, over at the Gauchos. Here is Christian Anderson Jr.'s FIBA U19 World Cup performance, okay? He had a total of 121 points. You can see that averages out to about 17.3 points per game. Shot 43% from the field, 35% from three, 46 assists, 34 rebounds, 11 steals, and had a plus-minus of 69. Pretty nice plus-minus if you ask myself. Now, the thing is if you watch this gold medal matchup against the U.S., they were after his surge in the first 4 or 5 minutes where he scored double-digit points, did Christian Anderson Jr., they were triple teaming him at times. Like if it was on a pick and roll type scenario, they would obviously double, but then you would kind of see like a spy over the top of him in terms of Christian Anderson Jr. was the focal point in terms of trying to stop for the Americans in this U19 World Cup gold medal matchup. Like this was one of those deals where it was like, oh, they respect the hell out of this guy. And you were watching this from a Christian Anderson standpoint, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, if I can beat these guys now, imagine how much easier my life is going to be in the Big 12 when I have the player of the year on my team in JT Toppin, not to mention a Lawan Watts or a Tyrese Bryant, right? Or a Luke Bamboye, right? There's so many guys that they have to account for due to the opposition. And then you got Christian Anderson Jr. thinking, okay, I'm going to have easier looks here. I might as well get some reps in against some great competition, by the way. The U.S. had a great team, obviously blowing out Germany in the gold medal matchup. But Christian Anderson dominated. He dominated this really tournament in general. And don't believe me? That's okay. I can understand that. Let's go ahead and look at who was on the All-Star 5. So they released this where it's the All-Star 5 of the FIBA U19 2025, and Christian Anderson made that alongside of some guys that are pretty damn good, all right? You've got his teammates in Steinbeck, who is currently committed to Washington, and then, just AJ DeBansa, the number one overall player in the class heading into high school or into college right now, I should say. I mean, you had some absolute stars on the floor. And Christian Anderson was arguably the best guard in the entire tournament. And it may not be arguably. I can't get over what Texas Tech has going for them into the 2025-2026 season, where, again, you retain the Big 12 player of the year in JT Toppin, and you retain arguably the best young guard returning in the Big 12. Texas Tech's in a really good spot. You can see the development from a Christian Anderson Jr. point of view. And you have to think about this too. Christian Anderson Jr. had a really good gold medal matchup. Do you know who the opposition had as a coach? The U.S. had Grant McCaslin. Who knows Christian Anderson Jr. better than Grant McCaslin, right? And Christian Anderson Jr. still went out there and shined in that gold medal matchup against the U.S. Unfortunately for him, didn't end up winning. The U.S. did end up winning, though, and retain their status as the elite of the elite when it comes to world basketball. Now, Before we get into the latest recruiting updates for two of the primary targets for the Red Raiders, I'd be remiss not to mention one more time. Again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already for 100% free Texas Tech men's basketball content all year long. We're trying to mix in some basketball here when football season is vastly approaching. If you want football content, we've got you covered there, whether it's breaking news for Texas Tech signing or landing the commitment of 5-star prospects on the gridiron, whether that's in the 2026 class or maybe in the 2027 class. Who knows? Maybe at the time of this recording, you know something that I don't. We shall see. But if you want 100% free content surrounding your Red Raiders, this is the place for you with over 12,000 Red Raiders in the most interactive community of Red Raiders on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right, let's talk about one of the guards real fast, and then we'll talk about the other one, and that is Jaylen Petty. I've mentioned him a couple times here on the channel, and you see that he's currently signed to Stanford. He's out of that NIL agreement from what I understand. And so he is just taking his time in terms of committing. Everything I have heard for the past month is the Red Raiders are the favorites to land Jaylen Petty. It's just more of a win, not if situation. Has that maybe changed a little bit? Sure, but it still sounds like the Red Raiders are in a really good spot to land the number 1 overall player in the state of Washington and a top 15 point guard in the class of 2025. Rainier Beach, Seattle, Washington native. He's a top 135 player according to 247 Composite. It sounds like the Red Raiders are in a really good spot to land Jaylen Petty. And you may be wondering, RC, I see the New Mexico is the crystal ball prediction favorite. He was actually committed to New Mexico before he then decommitted and went to Stanford. All right. And when I say went to Stanford, committed to Stanford, he is such decommitted from Stanford and looks like he will be headed to the 806. Can things change? Absolutely. But he is a name to monitor for Texas Tech fans. There's no doubt about it. All right, Ben Henshaw. I know a lot of y'all have been asking about him in terms of what's the latest on Ben Henshall and his potential commitment to Texas Tech. First off, let's backtrack a little bit. He did withdraw his name, from the NBA draft process. Okay, so he is eligible to go the college route. Now, grades. I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you guys. It's grades. His GPA, according to Austin Massey, who talked to a source close to the situation, his GPA, I should say, is pretty bad. And it is an issue for getting him into school. Will it be one that in turn makes it to where he can't play college basketball? We shall see. This doesn't feel like it's a Texas Tech issue, right? You can kind of navigate those waters if you're the Red Raiders in terms of getting him into Texas Tech itself. However, it sounds like this could be an NCAA issue. And at that point, you have to go down a pretty narrow track to make sure that this happens. Will it happen eventually? I don't know. But where we stand right now is this. I would be shocked if Ben Henshall goes the college basketball route and he is not a Red Raider. So if he plays college basketball, I think it will be in the scarlet and black, and I think he will be playing for Texas Tech. That being said, will he play college basketball next year? I think is a pretty sizable if at this standpoint for a multitude of reasons, most notably the grade front. I think that that's where we're at. That's the latest update. I don't know much more than that. I think this could happen really at any point, right, where we could just get a news bomb in the sense of, oh, yeah, Ben Henshall's a Red Raider. It could come out of nowhere where they just kind of get everything that needs to get handled away from an academic standpoint squared away, and that eases him into playing college basketball, or he could just not be eligible. I don't know where it goes from here, but that's kind of where we're at in the sense of Tech navigating a very narrow path to getting him, well, eligible. And sometimes those narrow paths don't lead to where you think they do, right? So it's one of those kind of situations. So as it stands right now, Jaylen Petty, I would be surprised if he doesn't commit to Texas Tech and he isn't on the roster for 2025, 2026. A lot of things can change, but it sounds like it's headed in that direction. And if Ben Henshall plays college basketball, I think it will be for Texas Tech in 2025, 2026. But that is a massive if on the college basketball front for Ben Henshall. All right. Hopefully that Gets you all the information you need. Again, Christian Anderson Jr., I think he's going to be a first-team All-Big 12 player next year alongside JT Toppin, who I think has the best chance to win Big 12 Player of the Year back-to-back years for the first time in a little bit to say the least. But Texas Tech's in a really good position. Grant McCaslin wins gold in the FIBA U19 World Cup as an assistant coach under Arizona head coach Tommy Lloyd for the Americans. And then that was your recruiting update when it comes to Henshall and Petty. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Join the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube right here in the Back to 12 podcast channel. I'm RC Maxfield reminding you, as always, to stay safe and rep 'em Tech.